Hot Topics. My name is Jeff. Today's hot topic, let's talk Arizona State baseball. Best baseball program in the country, hands down. Now, some of you right now are probably saying, but they haven't won a College World Series in 30 years. You're right, they haven't. You know why? Because Arizona State baseball has been focusing on producing major leaguers. You see, Arizona State baseball, over those last 30 years, has produced more major leaguers than any other school, than any other NCAA school. So, if you're a talented baseball kid, and you want to go to eventually play in the show, to play in the major leagues, what school do you want to go to? A school that will probably win the College World Series, but yet they won't prepare you for the show? Or would you like to go to Arizona State University, be a Sun Devil? They prepare you for the major leagues. Since the first Major League Baseball draft, the first amateur draft, which was 1965, the very first player ever drafted, Rick Monday, Arizona State Sun Devil. Holy cow. It even started off with a Sun Devil. Should have known back then, right? Since then, Arizona State has had more players drafted than any other NCAA school. And since 1965, they're the only school in the NCAA in the entire country that has produced more than 100 major leaguers in that time period. If you think about it, that's basically what? Just a 50-year span? And in 50 years, they've produced over 100? That's 2 players per year. That means when you go and watch an Arizona State baseball game, you're watching a future major leaguer, because you know 8 players drafted on the average. That means watching an Arizona State baseball game, 8 of those players you're watching will be playing in the minor leagues. 2 of them will make it to the show. You go watch it next year, it'll be a different 2 that will make it to the show, and a different 8 from that roster season will get drafted. So really, like in city of Phoenix, kind of in the metropolitan Arizona, they call it the Cactus League, the spring training for Major League Baseball. Arizona State plays in a former minor league baseball stadium called Phoenix Muni. In fact, back in the 70s, it was home of the Phoenix Giants minor league, or the Phoenix Giants, the minor league ball club of San Francisco Giants. And the PCL, the Pacific Coast League at the time, had this slogan, had this little saying, this little signature mark that said, tomorrow's major leaguers today. AAA, to make sense, because your next step is the majors. So I've kind of adopted that. Arizona State University is tomorrow's major leaguers. So tomorrow's major leaguers today play ASU baseball. And based on those numbers I read to you earlier, that's a fact. It's not just a perception, it's a fact. 2 of them will play in the show. So when you're watching one of those games, you're actually almost watching a spring training game. You're watching a minor league game. You're watching a spring training game. So, in fact, the Pac-12 has USC, which since 1922, I think it is, has had over 100 players make it to the majors. University of Texas is the only other NCAA school with over 100 players making it to the show, but their first player was back in like 1908 or something like that. So they've taken a lot longer to reach over 100. ASU's only done it in 50 years. They've taken 100 years to do it almost. So, but here's a cool stat for you. Major League Baseball All-Star Game, guess what school has the most players to play in that game? I'll give you a hint, it's not ASU. It's USC. Pac-12. ASU is second right behind them. Not only the first and second most players to play, but also the most appearances. Now here's another cool stat for you. This is why ASU baseball is, as ASU says on Twitter, they are, pound MLBU, Major League Baseball University. Because in a sense, based on all these stats, it makes sense. Arizona State baseball, the players that have made it to the show, obviously there's over 100, they lead all other NCAA schools in these statistics. Most home runs, Arizona State University. Most Major League stolen bases, triples, RBIs, every offensive statistic is all led by Arizona State University players. That's amazing. Now, granted, pitching, well, they're struggling a little bit there. But here's another cool stat. There are 22 players since 1965 who have gone what they call straight to the majors, meaning their debut was not in the minors, it was in the majors. A lot of times when a player gets drafted, they might sit out the rest of that year because draft is in June and baseball season's already almost over with anyhow, and it's already half over with, so there is a rookie league that plays for a month or so, but sometimes a player won't participate in that. And in doing so, the following year, their spring training, they did so well that they made it to the big club. Out of 22 players that have gone straight to the show for being drafted, 3 are from Arizona State. 3 out of 22. Get this, no other school has more than 1. And ASU has 3 of them. The last one being Mike Leake, pitcher, drafted by Cincinnati Reds. So, just to top it off, Arizona State baseball is tomorrow's major leaguers today based on those stats. They are, as ASU puts it on Twitter, pound MLBU, Major League Baseball University. Makes sense with all these numbers I'm throwing at you. So if you're a kid out there who loves baseball and you're pretty good at it, and you might be talented enough to make it to the show, you probably want to play for Arizona State. Because if you do, you'll be one step closer for making it to the show. So even if you're drafted out of high school, ooh, big decision. Do you go play in a minor league somewhere, in the bus leagues? Or do you go to Arizona State, not only get a little bit of an education, but you improve at a greater rate? Because, get this, here's another stat for you. Every single player who has been drafted out of high school, who chose to attend Arizona State University, has increased their draft status. So if you got drafted, let's say in the 15th round out of high school, you go to Arizona State, you'll probably now get drafted in the 7th round. Which means what? More cash in your pocket, kiddo. So, but this is Jeff with Arizona Hot Topics, and today's Hot Topic, I'm talking Arizona State baseball, because you know why? They're the best program in the country, hands down. Go Sun Devils. I'm out.